Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to talk to you guys about the brand new record from Cellar, Darling, Dispel, out March 22nd on Nuclear Blast. The album has 13 tracks and is just over the 1 hour mark. Now, don't let my shirt fool you. This will be a complete unbiased album review. Alright, I just want to get that out of the way. Alright, so I'm not going to compare this album with the previous album at all. I don't feel like that's fair to either record. Each of them is independent from each other, and each of them has to stand the test of time on their own. So I'm going to concentrate 100% on the spell, and there's a lot to unpack, so I just really want to get into it. This album still has a lot of folky elements. It still has the hurdy-gurdy and the flute, things that you would expect from Cellar, Darling, but perhaps in a smaller dose. It really shows a different side of the band. It shows a more mature side of the band, a more adventurous side of the band, really willing to take risks, and a more elaborate side of the band. This is really an album that shows a huge growth for this band. I really like where they're going with their sound, a more progressive approach perhaps, but not just progressive approach the way you think of progressive metal. They really incorporated little key elements from other genres to really make this album come to life and feel like it's full of sound and life and energy. So it's not just a progressive record, it's a lot more than that. Obviously, it tends to lean more towards progressive metal, but it's not just your run-of-the-mill progressive metal album. It really incorporates still some folky elements, some classical elements, there's a little bit of pop in it, if you will. There's a little bit of that aroma, of that fragrance, specifically on some of the chorus to make them feel a little bit more catchy and hooky, to really grab the attention of the listener. This is a concept record through and through. What I mean by that is it's not just a concept record from a lyrical perspective, where there's a story being told from song 1 to song 13, but it's also a concept record musically. This is a full-on concept record from a musical side and from a lyrical side. Both components coming together to really tell a story. Now, the story that they're telling is a story of Earth, of the pain that the planet is going through, and it births a child and brings a child to the world in order to feel the pain that Earth is feeling through her own self. That's the idea behind it. And then as the child comes to this world, the child is in search for the meaning of life, the meaning of her life. Why did she come to this world to feel pain and suffering? If that's the only reason, why is she here? So the whole idea behind the concept is really that from a lyrical perspective, but also from a musical perspective, because I really feel like this album musically is really enhancing the lyrics and really telling the story. The two go hand in hand, absolutely. Once you start listening to the tracks, you really feel like the two are just partners in this experience that will be the listening experience of this record. Also, they released the digibook version of the record, which has Anna Murphy talk about each single track, telling a little bit of the story behind each single track and the concept behind each track, and explaining a little bit of the lyrics. I really felt that was extremely important for my overall experience with this album. The album is very intricate, it's very elaborate, there's a lot of layers to it. It's like an onion. It just has tons of layers to it, and it's almost impossible for you to peel all those layers without a little bit of an inside information on each single track. So the way I did it was I listened to the audiobook. I listened to a track 1 of the audiobook, then I would go and listen to the first track on the record. Then I would go listen to the second track on the audiobook, and then go listen to the second track on the record. So I did that for all 13 tracks. I really felt that this was the only way for me to fully understand the concept of the record, to fully engage myself in the album, and to fully understand what the band was trying to do with their sound, and specifically with the story of this record. I must say, doing that really allowed me to connect deeply with the record. I've never felt as emotionally drained, as emotionally pushed to the limit as I have with this specific record. It is really a record that really pulls at your heartstrings, that really allows you to connect with it, that really has a lot of substance. It uses sometimes almost metaphors to tell you stories that are real, that are important, that affect all of us. Death, life, love. These are things that we all experience on our day-to-day life. These are all experiences that mark us as humans. So when you're listening to this record and you do it in the way that I did, it really allows you to see beyond the lyrics, beyond this story, and find and find connections with your own life, with your own experiences, and how those experiences perhaps bring things that you had hidden in the back of your mind, that were painful to you, that you didn't want to perhaps dwell on it, that your own self-defense mechanisms had put in away. This album, to me, it brought all of those things to life. It brought all of those things to the forefront. It really made me reevaluate a lot of things that I thought very differently before listening to this record. So emotionally, it was very draining. It was a very draining experience. I never felt so tired, so absolutely drained of energy from listening to a record before. And this is not a bad thing. This is an extremely good thing. This has allowed me to go a lot deeper into the album, to feel a lot deeper the meaning of the songs and where the band was going. It's going to be extremely hard for me to put this album away, and it's going to be even harder for me to move this album from my top favorite albums of 2019. I'm going on the record right now. This album, as far as I'm concerned, has set the bar for this year. It is just a record that is not just a record. It's a lot more to it than just a band putting 13 songs together that tells a story. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to unpack. It's a lot more complex lyrically than just that. It's a lot more complex musically than just that. It is a record that is a living being, if you will. And when you use that audiobook and record in combination, it really enhances the listening experience. I don't think you're going to get the full enjoyment of this record unless you pair those two elements together to really allow yourself to engage the album, engage the listening experience, and really feel what the band was trying to say with this album, with each song individually, and as well as you connect with the songs on a much deeper level. Now, as far as songs are concerned, I picked 3 that were not the singles. I really don't want to talk about the singles because those are out. I really want to pick 3 different songs. So I try to pick 3 different songs, and perhaps 3 songs that touch on topics that I really feel a connection to. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of the behind the scenes in terms of what the lyrics are about in these tracks before I break down the track. So I'm starting off with Pain. Pain literally talks about pain. I mean, when you think about it's the first song on the record, so it really starts everything. It's really the birth of the child into the world. And if you think about birth is something that's come out of pain. It's impossible to have a birth of a child without pain being involved. So it's very important, if you think about it, this being the opening track on the record, having that theme and then also representing the birth of this child to a world of pain. So your birth from pain into a world of pain. So that's kind of the idea lyrically behind this song. Now, the guitar riff on this song, it's heavy, not super heavy, but a little heavier than perhaps what you would expect from Cellar Darling, a little bit heavier to really demonstrate a little bit of darkness and pain that this song has a lot. This song really has a blanket of darkness covering it. It really feels that to me, coming from the lyrics, but also from the music. Anna's voice is a beautiful contrast to that pain and to that darkness that you really get from the guitar riff and from the drums as well. She kind of brings a little bit of light and hope into a song that's just filled with darkness at every single corner. I like what they did with the vocals on this track. They added a little bit of layers to her vocals, specifically around the chorus. I like that. It gave the song a lot more volume. It gave the song a sense of a choir almost, not really a choir, but it gave that kind of a style. It gave that kind of aroma to the track, and I really like that because she has a beautiful voice. But for a song that has this much darkness, it really called for something a little bit heavier or a lower tone, if you will. And by adding layers to her vocal tracks, they were really able to do that. They were really able to give volume to her voice. The hurdy-gurdy in the middle of the track just adds another darkness to the song. The hurdy-gurdy melody that they use on this specific track is really there to enhance that darkness, to enhance that overall blanket of pain and suffering that really covers this whole song. So I really like that. I liked how they used it. They didn't use it just for melody. They didn't use it just to give perhaps a little bit of a folk aroma to the track. They really used it for more than that. They really used it for the atmosphere that it brought to the song. The second song I want to talk to you guys about is Love. Just think about this song and think about it from the terms of somebody who's terminally ill and perhaps finds love and happiness in death. That to me is how I interpreted this specific part of the song. If you think about somebody in this world that's suffering of a terminally illness, of cancer or something else, and perhaps they look at death as happiness, as love, not just a way out, but perhaps finally finding love and happiness in death. That's what this song is really about, is falling in love with death and finding that happiness that you don't have in your life, and ending your life. The ending of your life is not necessarily a termination, but rather a passage to another side, a continuation of your life in a happier, in a more well-adjusted environment, if you will. So lyrically, to me, this is what I took from this specific track. So now, this song has more of an uplifting vibe. I really felt that this song could have been plucked out of Sound of Music if the Sound of Music was about death and falling in love with dying and being terminally ill. If that was the concept behind the movie, The Sound of Music, this song would fit that perfectly. But I really felt listening to it that it had that Swiss Alps aroma. It had that vibe of singing on an open field, finally finding happiness, finally finding what you've been looking for, a sense of completion, a sense of finding what your true calling is all about. That comes totally across, not only in the lyrics, because obviously that's what the lyrics are talking about. The child that comes to the world finally finds the meaning of her life, which is she found love in death. So that not only comes across in the lyrics, but it definitely comes across in the song. For the topic of the song, for the lyrics of the song is very uplifting. It's almost a complete 180. Like, the song is talking about something, the lyrics are talking about something extremely dark and painful and perhaps really a taboo to some, but the music behind it is extremely uplifting, extremely happy. And that paradigm, that dynamic between these two complete opposites, or at least to most, these are two complete opposite worlds, is really what makes this song work, is really what gives life and energy to this track. I absolutely love this song. I love the vibe that it gave this song. I love the energy that it had, and most important, I love that dynamic between the lyrics and the music, and how the two seem so far apart, and yet they come together in perfect harmony in this song. Last but not least, Sleep. This one to me is a track that while there's perhaps not much to unpack from it, I really felt that it needed to be talked about just because of how interesting this song is. This song is really about the eternal sleep, death. Death is the eternal sleep. So this song is really about the end of a life, and finding happiness. Not only finding happiness, but beyond that. Once you consummate the act, and you're entering your eternal sleep. So this is really what this song is about lyrically. Now, what they did was they grabbed that concept of those lyrics and they created a song. There's nothing more, nothing less than a children's lullaby. That's exactly how this song plays out to me. All you get is a piano and Anna's vocals. That's it. That's all you get on this track. From the beginning to the end, you get a piano, absolutely beautiful melody, and you get her voice. Incredible. And the two come together as exactly what I just said before, a children's lullaby. That's what this song is about. That this song is all about going to sleep, and this song really was created, designed, structured to feel 100% like a children's lullaby. I love what they did with the piano on this track. I love how the song ends with just the notes of the piano giving a sense of almost your eyelids closing. And every time your eyelids close, you get a note from the piano, and then they reopen a little bit, and then as they close, they hit another note. It's almost like the life is being drained out of you 1 second at a time, 1 minute at a time. I love that ending. It really added atmosphere to the song. It added a sense of reality to the song, and it really brought the lyrics and the overall message of the track to life, and the way they ended with those piano notes. Absolutely incredible track. Incredible, not necessarily from the things that you can unpack from it, because when you first look at it, it's a very, very linear track with not much really to peel from it, but how it was created, how it was designed, and how it incorporates those lyrics and brings them to life absolutely to perfection. Absolutely incredible song, a song that just really captivates your attention the moment you're going through the album, because you don't get any song like this at all from number 1 to number 13. This track, Sleep, is very unique in the way it was put together, in the way that it was structured, and the way it was delivered. All right, guys, this is it for me. This is Cellar Darling, The Spell, out March 22nd on Nuclear Blast. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.